Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of Langility. My name is Madeline, and I'm your host. So, this podcast is aimed at intermediate learners of English, where we look at interesting topics and help you improve your English along the way. Today, we're talking about a subject that has changed the way many people work and live: remote work. So, remote work means doing your job from a place outside of your typical office environment. Maybe you work at home or at a coffee shop, or maybe you work at the beach. That would be nice. This new way of working has changed the lives of many people around the world and also how we spend the largest part of our week. Before 2020, remote work was fairly rare, meaning that only a small number of people worked from home. Most of us would go into the office each day, sit at our desks, and then go back home when the day was over. But in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic suddenly changed everything. This worldwide event changed how we live and work in many ways. And one of the biggest changes was the rise of remote work. Suddenly, millions of people were working from their kitchens, bedrooms, or home offices. For some people, the rise in remote work was a dream come true. However, other people found it really challenging. So, in this episode, we're going to explore both the positive and negative sides of remote work, along with the effect it has had on our daily lives. So, if you're curious about remote work, or maybe you are a remote worker, I hope you'll find this episode interesting. Let's get started. To understand remote work today, let's look at its history. Before the internet, working from home was unusual. Most jobs required people to be in the same place so that they could work together face to face. But in the late 20th century, things started to change. As technology improved, more people were able to work remotely. And with the invention of the internet and the World Wide Web, it became possible for people to connect with each other, no matter where they were based. Suddenly, you didn't need to be in an office to work with your team. You just needed a computer and an internet connection. When the COVID-19 pandemic arrived in early 2020, everything changed. Offices around the world closed to keep people safe, and millions of workers were suddenly doing their jobs from home. For many companies, it was the first time they had tried remote work with so many of their employees. Despite some challenges, work continued, and many people discovered that they could get the same amount done whilst working from home. And today, over 4 years after the start of the pandemic, some companies have decided to keep remote work as a permanent option. Companies like Reddit and Spotify have welcomed remote work, allowing their employees to work from anywhere. However, other companies, like Amazon, now want employees to return back to the office. Despite these mixed views, many employees have found clear advantages to working remotely. Now, let's look at some of the biggest benefits of remote work. One of the biggest benefits of remote work is being able to work from almost anywhere. Maybe you want to work from a beach in Thailand or a cottage in the countryside. Well, you can with remote work. As long as you have a laptop and a reliable internet connection, you can work from any location you choose. And having this choice is one of the things people love most about remote work. For example, some people choose to work from their home, where they can create a comfortable and peaceful space. other people might work from a local coffee shop where they can have other people around. And for people who like to travel, remote work allows them to explore new places while still earning an income. So people who follow this kind of lifestyle are called digital nomads. So digital nomads travel from place to place whilst working remotely. They may move from one country to another, maybe living and working in locations such as Lisbon or Barcelona. Some countries even offer a special digital nomad visa for remote workers. Spain, Portugal, and many others are encouraging remote workers to come and live there. These countries hope that encouraging remote workers will help their local economies. This is because digital nomads will spend money on housing, food, and other services. Another big advantage of remote work is flexibility. So, being able to fit your job around other important parts of your life. When you work remotely, you often have more control over your schedule or when you start and finish work. Now, this can be especially helpful for parents or people with extra responsibilities, like caring for family members. Working remotely allows them to pick up their children from school, for example, and be more present in their children's lives. Remote work also allows you to set up your own workspace, so the space in which you work. At home, you can choose a quiet room, have your favorite chair, and decorate your desk how you like. However, in a traditional office, you usually don't have as much control over your space. Remote work allows people to create a workspace that makes them feel a bit more comfortable, and this in turn might allow them to get more done. One of the most popular benefits of remote work is the time and money you save by not commuting. So, a commute is the journey that people take to and from work. For many people, this can take up a lot of time each day. I once had a commute that was over an hour each way, and by the end of the day, I was absolutely exhausted. So many people use the extra time they save to do things that they find more useful. Maybe that's exercise, cooking a nice meal, or spending time with family. And not having a commute also saves money. You don't have to pay for bus or train tickets or even parking charges. You may also save on lunch, coffee, or other snacks that you would normally buy if you were in the office. This means that you could save quite a bit of money each month. Plus, not commuting is also better for the environment, as fewer cars on the road mean less pollution. Remote work can also improve your work-life balance, or feeling like you have enough time for both your job and your personal life. When you work from home, it's often easier to manage your day in a way that suits you. For example, if you need to make a call or go to the dentist, you can do so more easily. And for many parents, this is particularly valuable. Remote work allows them to be more involved in their children's lives and to manage their different responsibilities more easily. And work-life balance is important because it helps prevent burnout. Now, burnout is a feeling of being extremely tired or stressed. And this often happens because of too much work or not enough time to rest. When someone feels burnt out, they may feel unhappy or find it more difficult to get their job done. Remote work can help prevent this by giving people more control over their schedules. This can result in a better work-life balance. Having a good work-life balance is also good for your mental health or the way you feel emotionally. When people have more time for personal activities, they often feel happier and more relaxed. They're also more likely to enjoy the work they do because they don't feel like work is becoming their whole life. Some people also find that they are more productive when working from home, meaning that they're able to get more done. At home, you're able to do your work without people chatting nearby or phones ringing. And if you've ever worked in a noisy office, you know how hard it can be to concentrate. In an office, you usually have to work in a space that's been created by the company, which might not be that suitable for everyone. Remote work can also lead to higher job satisfaction. When people are able to work in a way that suits them, they often feel happier in their jobs. Job satisfaction, so the feeling of enjoying your work, is important because it can lead to both better performance and people staying at their job for longer. Another good thing about remote work is that it opens up job opportunities for people, no matter where they live. In the past, you often had to live near a company's office to work there. But with remote work, you can apply for jobs in different cities or even different countries around the world. And from a company's point of view, remote work allows them to hire people from anywhere in the world. They're not limited to finding talent in one area, so they can choose the best person for the job, no matter where they are. When companies have employees from different backgrounds and cultures, they can get a wide range of ideas and ways of thinking. And this can allow companies to better understand and serve their customers. Now that we've looked at the benefits, let's discuss the challenges or cons of remote work. Like any way of working, remote work has its difficulties. One of the biggest challenges of remote work is loneliness or feeling lonely. When you work from home, you might not see other people as often as you would in an office. This lack of social contact can make some people feel isolated or more alone. In an office, you can chat with colleagues, have coffee together, and share ideas face to face. However, working from home can feel lonely, especially if you live alone. And social interaction, so talking and connecting with others, is important for our mental health. When people feel lonely, they may feel less happy and like they have less support to do their jobs. To help with this, some remote workers join co-working spaces. Co-working spaces are offices that are shared between different companies and individuals. For me, personally, I've definitely found working from home to be quite lonely. So this is exactly what I did. I found a co-working space helped with feeling less lonely, but I still missed having my colleagues around. When you work in an office, it's often easier to get to know your colleagues. You see each other every day, and it's much easier to build relationships. However, remote work makes building relationships within a team more difficult. Even though you can chat with colleagues online, it's not quite the same as being in the same room. And you miss out on the small bits of chat whilst you're making a coffee or refilling your water bottle. Also, when you're working together in an office, it's easy to organize events like team lunches or after work drinks. These events can definitely help people to get to know each other better and build trust. In a remote setting, these team building activities are usually done online, often over video calls. While these virtual events can be fun, I don't feel they're as good as getting together in real life. I've done various group activities with colleagues over Zoom, like painting or a book club, and these were fun, but I also feel like they would be a lot more fun in real life. Somehow, they just don't feel the same. Another negative of remote work is the lack of movement. When people work in an office, they often move more during the day. You might walk to the train station, walk to a coffee shop for lunch, or go to meetings in different rooms. And these small movements help you to stay active without even realizing it. However, when you work from home, it's easy to sit at your desk for hours. And maybe your commute is just a short walk from your bedroom to your living room. This lack of movement isn't great for our bodies or our minds. Sitting for long periods can also lead to health problems such as back or neck pain. Health experts recommend taking breaks to stand up or walk around every hour. Some workers use a standing desk, which allows them to work whilst standing up, and others take short walks during the day to get some fresh air. One of the biggest challenges of remote work is keeping one's work and home lives separate. When you work in an office, there's a clear boundary between your work life and your personal life. At the end of the day, you leave the office and your workday is finished. But when you work from home, it's easy for these lines to blur or become less clear. Some people find themselves checking email late in the evening or thinking about work when they're supposed to be relaxing. Without clear boundaries, it can be hard to fully switch off from work, and this can lead to burnout, as we talked about a bit earlier. Even at home, there are often things that take your attention away from your work. A pile of dishes might need washing, clothes might need folding, or the dishwasher might need emptying. For people with children, their kids might need help with homework or just want to play. This can make it very challenging to concentrate on one's work. In an office, it's easier to concentrate just on one's work. But at home, these other bits of housework can interrupt your day. Some remote workers plan times for housework in advance so they don't end up doing it during work hours. For example, they might plan to do the dishes during a break or wait until the end of the day to put the washing machine on. Communication is one of the most important parts of any job, and remote work can make communication more challenging. In an office, you can quickly chat with colleagues or ask questions face to face. However, when you're working remotely, most communication happens through emails, messaging apps, or video calls. While these methods of communicating are very helpful, they can also make it easier for messages to not be fully understood. One problem is that you can't always tell the tone or feeling behind a written message. For example, a short message like, please finish this by today, could sound rude, even if it wasn't meant that way. Without hearing someone's voice or seeing their face, it's harder to understand the tone behind a message and believe that a message is negative when it's actually not. When I worked remotely, I always loved using a good emoji in my messages. And I found them very useful to communicate the feeling behind my messages. Another challenge is that communication can feel slower. In an office, you can ask a quick question and get an answer straight away. But when you're working remotely, you're probably going to have to wait for someone to reply to a message or email. Now, this can make working as a team feel less efficient, and things may take longer to complete. While remote work offers many advantages, it's clear that working fully from home does come with some disadvantages. Many companies and employees are now looking for a solution that uses the best parts of both working from home and from the office. And this is where hybrid work comes in. Hybrid work involves both remote work and office work. So employees will work partly in the office and partly remotely. Employees might spend a few days in the office and a few days working from home each week. This approach tries to bring together the flexibility of remote work with the social and team benefits of being in the office. Many employees enjoy hybrid work because it gives them the chance to have quiet days at home and more social days in the office. It allows people to build relationships with colleagues while still having the flexibility to work from home when they need to. For companies, hybrid work can be a really good option. It can reduce the amount of office space needed, which saves companies money. But teams still have the option to meet and work together. Hybrid work can also help with onboarding, which is the process of getting a new employee started at a company. This is because new team members are able to spend some time in the office and can meet their colleagues face to face. A report in 2021 found that 83% of people prefer hybrid working. It allows people to keep the benefits of remote work without losing the connections of working in the office. Hybrid work also means that people can change their schedules based on their needs. And this is especially helpful for parents, carers, or people with busy personal lives. And that brings us to the end of today's episode on remote work. We've explored the journey of remote work, from its rise to its effect on the way we work today. We've had a look at both the positives and the challenges that come with it. And we've looked at hybrid work and why this could be a good solution. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Langility. I hope today's discussion has given you a fresh look at remote work and its benefits and challenges. If you found this episode helpful, I would encourage you to listen to it again. When you listen to it for the first time, there might be many words that you had difficulty with, and that's okay. With each listen, you'll be able to notice more words and your understanding will improve each time. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. So we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and YouTube Music. And of course, you can find the transcript of this episode in the episode description. Until next time, take care. Bye.